It began at 9:43 p.m. on a windscraped Thursday when the grid hummed a little higher to meet the evening surge and the downtown towers turned their windows into a chessboard of lit lives. That is when the first voicemail landed on a pediatric nurse's phone as she clocked out. Don't let the lights go out. Clean, clipped, as if read from sheet music. No caller ID, no callback option. 30 seconds later, a junior electrician parked along River Avenue got the same thing. And then a high school custodian, hands full of lemon cleaner and keys. By 9:54, there were dozens, identical phrasing, identical cadence, an audio fingerprint slammed across the city's private inboxes. The protagonists here are ordinary. A nurse named Lena, who counts back from 10 for children about to sleep under anesthesia. An electrician, Mark, who knows every substation from Union Yard to Castor Bridge. A library archivist, Noor, who believes paper remembers what we forget. Each holds up the same message and feels that ancient mammal brain chill, the sense that language has gone from signal to omen. Don't let the lights go out. It isn't a threat, not directly. It's a direction, a plea, or a test. The inciting incident arrives when Noor, who volunteers nights entering dates from brittle phone logs into a searchable index, recognizes the phrasing from a 2015 case file she read for a training, a Minnesota missing person investigation in which a wife received a disturbing voicemail of growls, a voice saying, "Stop it." The content debated by experts, the origin disputed, the meaning fought over by strangers listening too closely with headphones on high. Different words, yes, but the same feeling. A recording that behaves like a Rorschach. By 10:07 p.m., a local subreddit threads itself into a single rope. Anyone else get this? Lena reads one post. We all got it. Same words. My husband says it's some emergency alert test. But why voicemail? Someone links to a CBC feature on a Canadian case where a recorded voice became the investigation's spine. Proof that sound can outlive a crime, can stand in for a witness when no one will. Noor bookmarks it. She has the sense of stepping toward a door that was cracked open years ago. Mark, meanwhile, is parked beneath a sodium lamp that makes the truck look like it's underwater. He plays the message again. He hears, or thinks he hears, a secondary layer, a breath after the period. He turns off the cab light and the truck becomes part of the dark. Don't let the lights go out. If it's a prank, it's cruel. If it's a warning, it's late. He texts a friend at dispatch, gets 3 dots, then nothing. He looks up at the substation perimeter fence and realizes the hum is out of tune. At 10:15, the city flickers. Nothing dramatic, a shrug in the current. Screensavers of aquariums pause mid-bubble, ceiling fans hiccup. The same minute, 3 more voicemails land. The timestamp windows overlap like a chorus singing in a round. The nurse, the electrician, the archivist lift their phones and, together without knowing it, hit play. The voice is calm and the request is impossible. By 10:21, the city's emergency line reports a surge of non-emergency calls. Is there an alert? Is the grid compromised? Who sent this? A dispatcher answers with the cadence of someone reading a script while writing it. No, there is no citywide alert. No, this is not part of an authorized test. Yes, multiple reports. Please remain calm. Please conserve power where possible. The phrase conserve power lands with irony in the timeline. Don't let the lights go out. Noor starts a spreadsheet. Time received, carrier, transcription exactness, background noise hints. She listens again and hears the faintest room tone. Not a street, not a kitchen, but a space where air has a soft return, acoustic tiles or a hallway with carpet. She adds a column, environment guess. She messages a friend in audio forensics who sends back a careful non-answer. Room tone can lie. Compression artifacts can mimic space. The friend drops 2 links to past cases where sound was scrutinized like scripture, including the Minnesota voicemail and the way a single "stop it" turned into 100 interpretations online. Meanwhile, a transformer at Union Yard tosses sparks like confetti. Mark's radio crackles with a location and a caution. Rolling brownouts at the edges, controlled if possible. He notes the irony that a city rarely pays attention to power until it is gone, and tonight attention is the overvoltage. He thinks about how many circuits are built to fail safe, to protect the whole by sacrificing the part. He considers whether messages can do the same. Sacrifice certainty to protect a truth. At 10:33, Lena steps into a stairwell because the elevator shudders once like a horse refusing a jump. She calls her sister, gets voicemail, leaves a message that is half joke, half confession. If the lights go out, I'm sleeping at work. She stops before adding, I got a weird message too. In the silence, she remembers a training about emergency communications, how official messages avoid please, how they say what is, not what must not happen. This voice tonight isn't official, it's personal. It wants complicity. Pause and reflect. What would it mean, morally, to obey an anonymous instruction? This is the human knot at the center of so many voicemail mysteries. Hearing a voice with no face and deciding whether to give it power. The 2015 case divided listeners. Was the voice a clue, a collage of panic and interference, or a misheard artifact that redirected grief? The Canadian case made a recording the fulcrum of public pressure, an audio that outlived the moment it captured. Tonight's message asks for action, but offers no authority beyond tone. At 10:41, a pattern emerges in Noor's sheet. The first wave of voicemails hit neighborhoods tied to older substations, legacy lines threaded through pre-war blocks. She cross-references a public utility map in the archive and sees a braid of load peaks scheduled for 11 p.m. to meet overnight heating demand. She DMs Mark, whom she only knows from a neighborhood forum where he once answered a question about Flickr. If you had to protect an old line from a spike, what would you do? He replies, stage reductions. Ask for voluntary cuts, fast. The second tension peak arrives when a hospital backup generator test, routine, scheduled for 11, kicks on at 10:52 by itself. The building lurches onto its own island for 3 seconds before snapping back to the mainland of the grid. Lena feels it like an undertow and grabs a doorway. A dad in the pediatric wing makes a joke about ghosts to keep his kid from crying, and the word sits talon-light on the moment. Ghosts are just messages that never finish their route. Noor posts a public note under an archivist alias, if you got the voicemail, consider reducing draw for an hour. Not official, just neighborly. It is the social version of a soft start motor. Lights dim in kitchens where people choose candles not from fear, but from solidarity. The skyline shows pocket darkness like eyelids. The instruction is unverified, but the effect is measurable. The grid's hum drops half a note. In a world skeptical of anonymous calls, people answer anyway, with small, reversible acts. There are red herrings. A conspiracy account claims the phrase matches a lyric from an old song, and that this is a marketing stunt. Someone else posts a clipping misreading a 1998 newsletter that quoted, "Don't let the lights go out" in a civic context. Proof that phrases cycle through culture like migratory birds. Distraction competes with coordination. Noor deletes 2 cells in her sheet, rumor isn't data, then adds a new one, mass timing anomaly. At 11:03, the first confirmed outage rolls across the Park District like spilled ink. Not a citywide collapse, but a controlled shed. Mark calls it in and hears tension in his colleague's breath. Then calm. Meanwhile, 3 more voicemails arrive in the neighborhoods that did not dim. The timing is surgical. It feels less like a prank and more like a feedback loop. Lessons from past cases echo. Audio can be both clue and misdirection, both authentic and ambiguous. The content here, "Don't let the lights go out," is less important than the behavior it catalyzes. At 11:11, Noor's friend sends a clean spectrogram of the voicemail. The main band is between 300 to 3,000 hertz, telephone voice territory, but there's a soft, repeating sub-bass swell below 60 hertz that doesn't belong to a human mouth. It belongs to a machine, to a grid, to power itself, recorded faintly in the background like a tide under the words. In prior infamous voicemails, analysts argued over what was human and what was artifact. Tonight, the artifact is the point. Whoever made this, or whatever triggered it, stood near a living artery of electricity. Mark cross-references substation test schedules and finds a silent entry at Castor Bridge, a firmware patch queued by a vendor, time-stamped but unsigned. If it auto-deploys, it could momentarily drop load coordination and cascade a blackout into the oldest lines. "Don't let the lights go out" becomes less plea and more instruction to buy the grid a few breathing minutes while someone cancels a task that should never have been armed. He calls the on-call supervisor, gets patched to a security engineer who whispers, "I see it." I'm in Lena, back on the pediatric floor, watches monitors blink and stabilize. She speaks softly to a sleeping child. "Stay asleep. We've got you." She thinks of the Minnesota wife who replayed a voicemail aloud and begged the audio to give her a map. Of the Canadian mother who said, "Now I'm her voice," making sound into a legacy when justice lagged. How many times has a recording become a stand-in for care? How often do we wish a voice could carry weight across a city? At 11:17, the supervisor kills the pending patch. The grid exhales in a slow, descending tremolo. The second wave of voicemails stops. In its place, a single new message lands on Nora's phone. Lone among many. "Thank you." Same voice, same room tone. No caller ID. She saves it to 3 places and sets one copy to auto-upload to the archive. She has no proof it is connected to the first message beyond rhythm and resonance, the way a voice keeps its habits. But she has a city's anecdote and a night's data. Dimming lights, delayed spike, avoided cascade. The twist is smaller than conspiracy and bigger than coincidence. The city saved itself by believing an unverified message, and the message may have originated not from a saboteur or a savior, but from the system's edge. A technician's automated dispatch gone feral, a safety script triggered in the wrong channel, a misrouted alert designed for internal ears that found the public instead. In other cases, mysterious voicemails pointed to personal tragedy, a private moment made public by accident. Tonight, a public system whispered into private pockets and asked for help. Immediate aftermath. The utility issues a midnight statement that reads like a patch note, acknowledging anomalous customer communications and preventive actions taken to maintain service continuity. No mention of who said the words. The subreddit posts a heat map of self-reported dimming. Citizen science in candlelight. Mark drives home at 1 a.m. The substation hum returned to true. Lena rides the elevator at last and does not flinch. Nor closes her spreadsheet with 312 entries and a fourth copy of a 31-word voicemail that feels heavier than its file size. In the weeks that follow, an internal review, released in summary, confirms a misrouted automated alert intersected with a vendor's queued firmware patch. Human operators saw the risk and canceled in time. What the summary cannot quantify is the voluntary dimming, the social capacitor that kept the system from tipping. In other cases, voicemails have forced attention on the intimate and tragic. Here, a city learned that listening together can be a civic act. The philosophical question lingers. When should a community obey a voice with no name, and when should it resist? How do people balance skepticism, so often earned, with the demands of collective care in edge case emergencies?
Don't forget to subscribe to Real Mystery Reports for more strange, dark, and profoundly human stories. New true mysteries every day.